All right. So today we're going to go over the cloud in our T session 23. And I know it's something that we are all hearing a lot about in our day-to-day lives, cloud this, iCloud, things like that. So today we'll be able to define the cloud and describe its purpose and what it allows us to do, explain how IT professionals might use knowledge of the cloud to support clients within different organizations, describe the differences between the various cloud service models, including SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. Contrast the different cloud architectures, including private, public, hybrid, and community models. Explain the role of security when it comes to storing information on the cloud. All right, real quick, can someone tell me what they think about when they hear the term cloud?
Backup storage.
Backup storage, okay, that's good. All right. Anything else there, guys? The Nimbus for your Dragon Ball Z fans. Yes, I would love to have a Nimbus.
I didn't want to go there, but yeah. Cloud computing, yeah.
Cloud computing. So basically like resource pooling or like things like that there, Greg?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
I think about servers. Yeah, servers with in a data center with very high capacity fiber.
In data centers. So you're telling me that this doesn't just happen in the air? It happens physically somewhere else?
I kind of wish it did.
But it doesn't. Awesome.
But
Thank you. So yeah. So
what about Starlink? Think of virtualization.
Virtualization, yeah, that's another good one too, Golly. Thank you. All right, awesome. So you guys have a good idea of what we actually mean when we're talking about the cloud, and we're going to define those things and give you examples in the upcoming slides. Okay, so we have our TPSMs for this technical session, and today I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to ask one of you to read our behavioral skill and then tell us why it applies to to IT and why we always should adapt, use that. So today's is adaptability. Joyce, would you be able to do that for us?
Yes, so adaptability is important because with IT is always changing, and you will have to adapt to the new changes that's going on and be comfortable with it and be up to date with the new changes.
That's perfect. That's an awesome take on that. Thank you so much. What about our mindset of personal responsibility? How about that? How is that relevant in the field of IT here, guys? You want to be able to,
hold yourself accountable and, keep yourself pushing forward. You're responsible for it.
Right. Taking ownership of, of your accomplishments, if you say you're going to do something, follow through on it, things like that. If sometimes there'll be, no one's perfect, and taking personal responsibility usually helps you move forward. And, instead of when we deflect or we try to, shy away from our responsibilities, it usually makes things harder. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been in that kind of situation where, if you would have taken personal responsibility for it, or you would have, approached it with a mindset of, yeah, that was something that I had to take care of. And, I don't know if that usually resolves those issues in a more positive way for you. And it's something to keep in mind, when we're talking about personal responsibility, we don't just mean for the bad things. Take, accountability for the good things that happen too, especially when you want that pay raise, or it's time for review. So thank you there, Joyce. I appreciate that. All right. So here we're going to define the cloud. And Cloud computing is a model for enabling convenient on-demand network access to shared pool of configurable computing resources. That's a mouthful right there. Examples are networks, servers, storage, applications, and services. You know, all of these can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. All right. That kind of a big definition there. But what we want to take away from that, right, is that cloud computing allows organizations access to resources, right, that maybe would take them a long time to implement themselves, right? And they can have infrastructure access like networks or servers, or they just might need data, you know, storing data. They might need applications. These are all things that we're going to learn more about in the coming slides. And the thing is that it's a lot more convenient, right? Like, let's say you need access to 10 servers, right? It's a lot more convenient to go and outsource that from a cloud provider than going and physically setting up 10 servers. Like, does that make a little bit of sense to you guys? Like, where it's a lot more convenient. It's also, you know, usually cheaper. That's one of the key points here. The cloud is cheaper than owning the entire infrastructure. All right. Another key fact is, while the cloud provides many answers to doing more business for a lower cost, never leave the security up to the provider. Be sure to create backups of the data regularly, continuing to protect the integrity of the data. What that means is, ultimately, you're responsible for your own data, right? Like, yes, a lot of these companies do provide, you know, their own security measures, but you don't want to just solely rely on them. Okay. And then the last key fact on this slide is Windows has a built-in cloud storage feature called OneDrive. It can be accessed from any device by simply logging into the account. You know, Windows is not the only one who does that. Apple has iCloud, Google has the Google Drive, right? These are all iterations of those companies' cloud services. Okay. Okay, we have a little a quick video here for you guys. I'm gonna play it now.
What is cloud? Cloud allows businesses to share servers, share networks, share apps and development tools, as well as data storage. Businesses use the cloud to quickly get new ideas up and running, protect their data, and boost the creation of new products and services. There's not one cloud, and it isn't located in just one place. The cloud can be accessed on any device connected to the internet. There are all sorts of clouds run by all sorts of providers. Some clouds are public, like when a third party such as Microsoft, AWS, or Google hosts your resources on their servers. Others are private, and still others might be shared by a small community. Many businesses use a blend of cloud environments to limit their risk and increase their capability. These are known as hybrid clouds. When hybrid cloud users buy services from multiple public cloud providers, they're using a multi-cloud approach that lets them operate in the cloud strategically. That's cloud.
You're
You're
muted.
muted, sir. You're muted.
Okay, that was a really good video, short, quick, and it did a really good job explaining the different cloud architecture types. We went over private, public, community, and hybrid, and we'll be going a little bit more in depth into each of those in the upcoming videos. And thank you for letting me know that I was muted. I thought you guys could lip read. What happened?
We were.
You guys were? All right, awesome. Ways to support organizations in using the cloud. IT professionals can use the cloud to support clients by making cost-effective suggestions on hybrid infrastructures, helping design a hybrid of legacy infrastructure and cloud computing, helping organizations write a cloud-based policy, and recommending different cloud programs for an organization's needs. So again, we're going to be going over some of the different cloud services and what they provide in detail in the upcoming slides. But yes, you know, a lot of places, they're not just going to use strictly one kind of, you know, one type of thing. They might use the cloud for multiple, you know, multiple things, right? They might use a public cloud or a private cloud or a combination of that. So we're going to go over those in a little bit here. Do we have any questions so far? Okay, all right. Okay, so there are 3 cloud service models, right? And these are the services. There's more than this, but these are the 3 that we'll go over in this course, okay? So I'm gonna have one of you guys read each one. So how about Kevin, would you read the first one for me?
Infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, aka hardware as a service, or HAAS. Vendor provides the hardware platform or data center, and the company installs and manages its own operating system and application systems. Example, a web provider or ISP.
So infrastructure as a service, you know, you do need to know that, because sometimes a question will come up as like that, infrastructure as a service or IaaS. But you know, instantly when you see this, you should be thinking about the cloud, and it's kind of explains itself in its name, right? It's providing the infrastructure, right? So it's providing the data centers, the servers, and basically you have access to their hardware, but then you're responsible for everything else, right? You know, operating systems, applications on top of that. So that's our first service model here. Let's have someone else read the second one. Yeah, go ahead, Emily. I would appreciate that.
Vendor provides the hardware platform or data center and the software running on the platform. This includes the operating system and the infrastructure software. The company is still involved in managing the system, but there aren't any servers, softwares, maintenance, or IT team. Someone else is handling all that.
What's an example of that?
A Salesforce.com.
.com, yeah. So like Salesforce.com, there's a lot of other things, Palantir, you know, but yeah, platform as a service, or PaaS, PaaS, is basically the vendors providing the hardware and the software running on the platform, right? So basically after that, after that is like kind of the applications that that the customer will be responsible for, and then the last one here. How about let's hear from Stephen. Would you do the last one, Stephen, if you can?
Yeah, sure. It's software as service, SaaS. Vendor provides the entire solution, including the operating system, which includes the infrastructure software, the application. The vendor simply provides access to the data center and maintains the access. And it says the example is payroll services.
Payroll services. There's some other examples there too, like, you know, if you guys ever use Microsoft Office online, you know, any application that's kind of like running online is an example of software as a service. Do you have any questions about these 3 service models right now?
Yeah, how do you look at a company that does all three? Do you isolate them all, like all the three roles, and treat them individually, or do you, for example, Microsoft covers all of these, right? They provide the platform, the hardware and the software. In a lot of cases, Azure, 360, like the whole 9 yards. So, or 365. How do you basically address each one, or do you say, okay, Microsoft operating in this respect, Microsoft operating in this respect? You know what I mean? Like you basically you isolate them down to each one. No, they would never ask you a question like, what is Microsoft, or what is Microsoft 360 or 365, sorry, or Office 365? What is that?
Well, that's an excellent question, Greg. So, yeah, a lot of different companies provide different types of the service models. We're almost kind of looking at it as from a client perspective. Like, let's say that you're working, let's say you get hired by a firm, to, like a law firm tomorrow, right? And you guys need to set up new infrastructure, right? Is it, and you need, but you want to run your own software and your own apps, then you would have to go and look at it, find a service provider that gives you, IaaS, infrastructure as a service. But then later on, you might need access to software as a service. You might want to have access to, like you said, 365 online, right? But you might, it all depends who you're getting it from, right? Like you might have a model where you get your IaaS from, VM, but then you want to get 365 and then you would get that from Microsoft. So we're looking at it from the client perspective.
Yeah, I got you. So yeah.
Okay, but there are a lot of companies that provide all three, but they don't always provide all three at once. They'll have different levels.
Tiers. I got you. Well, that part I'm aware of. I was just kind of curious about the test. If there will ever be a time when they try to trip you up by, kind of throwing something out there. It's like, okay, is this the platform or is this the software, that they're providing?
Well, they might ask something like, what an email application is, that software as a service? Is Gmail software as a service, PSS, or something else? They might ask you something like that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I think I get it now. All right. So in this case, if they ask you about Azure or AWS, you're going with platform as a service for the answer to those. While right. 365 Windows is Azure, is on Azure platform, that would be the software as a service answer. Got you.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Great. Anything else here, guys? Any other questions so far? Are we okay? All right. Okay. This is a link.
You can get to it through the student page.
For more information on the student page. Yeah. So, if you have the student page, you click on that and it's just like supplemental reading. Okay. All right, types of cloud. So when we saw the video earlier, we kind of got into this a little bit. Now we'll be able to define it a little bit better. A public cloud. So public cloud, a company pays another company to host and manage this environment. This puts your data safety in the hands of a third party. That party is often more capable and knowledgeable about protecting data in this environment and managing the cloud environment. All right. Private, a company that hosts the environment itself. This provides the most control of the safety of the data, but also requires the staff and the knowledge to deploy, manage, and secure the solution. Okay. Hybrid, this solution is partly private, partly public. While most data is stored publicly, the most sensitive data is stored privately. And then the last one is community. This solution is shared by multiple organizations with some common purposes, such as a joint project. Okay. Let's start with community. A good example of a community, or an example that would use community. It's kind of like, or hospitals and like universities. Like here in New York, we have like NYU University, and then like, you know, they would have like a community cloud with the hospitals that they're affiliated to, or like different boards, and you know, they would share things amongst each other, right? And then so that's like a good example for a community. A hybrid solution is some like, you know, you might be in a company where you have like financial records or something like that, and you need those financials to be extremely secure. So you don't want to put them out in the cloud, but then you need some like public infrastructure, right? Like you need extra like web servers and things like that to run your websites or something like this. So you use the two models of public and private, where you're keeping the most sensitive data privately, and then you're using a public architecture for the other things that your business needs, right? And then private is when you don't want any of your data out there, you know, and you just you set up a cloud infrastructure internally, and that data never leaves your organization. And then public is you're relying, you know, essentially on third-party companies. This is like if you're using like Azure or, you know, VMware, and you're using them for everything. This is how you would that would be a public infrastructure. Do you have any questions about the different types of the clouds here, guys? Okay, so real quick, Kelly and I, we use G Drive. Is our data in a public, private, hybrid, or community?
Private.
Private?
Public.
Public. Anyone else?
Hybrid.
Hybrid?
I missed the question. What was the question exactly? Somebody G Drive.
Yeah, me and Kelly, we use G Drive for, you know, for our course. Is that a public, private, or hybrid, or a community cloud?
The community.
Okay.
I think it's
So,
public.
It's public, yeah,
It's public,
right?
for sure.
We're using a third party, which is Google, to share, you know, to upload our data in it and share it amongst that. Like all that data it's not on my computer, it's not on Kelly's, and it's out on their servers. Does that make sense? So it's public. All right. The features of the cloud. So these are things why you want to implement a cloud deployment, right? Rapid elasticity, which is the capability to scale and cope with demand peaks for additional resources, including CPU and memory. On-demand self-service, where the customer pays for what is used. It can be scaled up or down when needs changes. Resource pooling. Resources are stored in pools across multiple customers. And measured service, where billing is metered and delivered as a utility service. Okay, so, you know, in the exam, there'll be questions like, what are the reasons that you would want to implement, you know, or use the cloud? And these are the good reasons for it. So rapid elasticity, you know, it's like something happened really fast. Like let's say we launched a new product, right? And it's you know, we launch a new product and we're getting massive amounts of new customers, right? And we just can't handle it anymore. So we need access to more servers, you know, more web servers, all those kind of things. We will be able to contact our cloud provider and be like, hey, we need this, you know, and we need this, we need X amount of new servers right away, and they'll be able to instantly be like, you know, go on in the back end and, you know, allocate those resources to us, right? Okay, on-demand self-service, meaning that it's almost what you're using, whatever you're paying is what you're using, and it can go up or down, right? So in times of high demand, you pay for more access to the services being provided to you, and then in times of low demand, you can scale back. All right. Resource pooling means that the cloud provider itself is spreading those has those resources in a pool, right? And all customers are able to like grab from it at the same time, right? So, and then measured service is literally you're getting billed for the services as you need them, right? So it's like pay as you go. Do these concepts make sense for you guys?
Yes. I would take a screenshot of this page.
Yeah. Also, I want to take this opportunity to drop something in chat for you guys. Okay, it's kind of it's just a chart with all the things that we spoke about so far, the different cloud architecture types, the cloud services provided, and then the reasons, the benefits of implementing a cloud infrastructure. And it's just good to, it's a nice little study tool. It should be in chat now. You should be able to download it. Okay. Cloud service model issues. Okay. Can I have a volunteer to read IaaS, infrastructure as a service, please? Yeah, go ahead, please. Thank you.
IaaS or HaaS company has more in control, in charge of securing operating system and server, web or email service provider. PaaS issue, no direct control of the data, people or infrastructure. Trained security professionals are watching all the data. Salesforce.com. SaaS issues, company would be using a third-party system, so the data is out there, not running the company's own client or owning their own server.
Thank you so much. All right, so IaaS, or infrastructure as a service. Then we have platform as a service, or PaaS, and software as a service, right? So infrastructure as a service, you have a little bit more control of securing your operating systems and stuff like that. Platform as a service, like the further you go down this list, actually, let me pull up that. You guys see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right, awesome. All right, so here we go. Software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. Do you see this arrow here? This is the amount of control that you have over your data, right? Right, so software as a service, you have less control. But then as you go to platform as a service, you get more control, and then you have the most control at infrastructure as a service, because essentially there, you're really relying on their infrastructure, right? Same thing if you look down below at the different models, right? Public, community, and private. You know, at public, you have very limited control over your data, right? And community, you have a little bit more, and then at private, you have absolute control. Okay, so this is, like I said before, I find this chart to be extremely helpful. And then up above, you have the essential characteristics of cloud, like rapid elasticity, measured service, the on-demand service, and the resource pooling that we talked about earlier. Okay. So if I wanted to have the most control over my data, would I go with a private, public, community, or a hybrid model?
Private.
Private.
Private, right? You know. What about if I wanted the most control over my data for service models? Would I do SAS, PAS, or IaaS?
Platform.
IaaS.
IaaS, right? So you would, like the arrow shows, the further to the right that you go, the more control you have. Okay. Why the searches are empty?
There you go. Sometimes it just takes a moment to load.
I was like, yo, what is going on? Okay, you guys want to climb in the Himalayas, at the beach, or the carnival? At the beach?
Beach.
Beach? All right, here we go. Get ready. Time to climb. Okay, we got one person in, 2 people. All right. People start popping up. There we go.
Quick question: do we have a student base on this one in
Yeah,
chat?
yeah.
Oh,
should
it
be,
is? Okay.
I think both me and
In
Kelly.
Slack already.
Okay, very good. Let me go back. Thank you.
Okay, we have. I'm sorry, Kelly. Did you pause?
Let me do that real quick.
Sure, you know. So I just go in and restart the recording, Kelly.
You're good, sir.
Oh, you started it already? Awesome. Thank you. All right, so security risks in the cloud. Session writing. This is when an attacker steals a user's cookies to use the application in the name of the user that they stole it from. So pretty much, you know, a hacker will use your cookies, right? And they'll be acting like it's you on that application, and this is called session writing. Do we remember cookies? Do we understand cookies? And I'm not talking about Oreos or Chips Ahoy. No, we don't remember. Okay, so cookies is a piece of software when you visit a website that tracks your data, right? And sometimes a website will give you a heads up. A lot of them do nowadays about enabling cookies and why they, you know, telling you how they use it. And you can opt out of some of those things, maybe not all. Okay, yeah. Kelly, I think this deletes his cookies every 3 seconds because, you know, he's paranoid. Or is it every 5 seconds?
10 seconds.
Every 10 seconds. My bad. I'm sorry. I gave him too much credit. Yeah, you can go in and manually delete your cookies on your web browser. You can also go into specific websites and, you know, change your cookies for those websites. But essentially, these websites use that data to better advertise to you or to better allow use of their website, right? Like if you go into a website and you're always searching, you know, code for Python, you know, they want to be able to, the next time you come in, you know, suggest some new Python libraries to you or something like that, you know, or if you were looking for a new TV screen and you logged out, when you log back on, you know, they want to be able to, you know, show you the most expensive TV that you can buy, right? So it can be used for a lot of purposes, and it essentially when someone does a session writing attack on you, they steal your cookie, right? And then they're able to act like it's you on that session. Okay. The next one that we're going to be talking about is virtual machine escape, and this is pretty much the same way that is described in the name. It's when an attacker can take advantage remotely of a vulnerability through the hypervisor. The remotely controlled machine can escape the sandbox environment, gaining access to all the VMs, right? So it's essentially they'll take control over one virtual machine, and then from there they'll be able to leave that environment and take control of the entire hypervisor, giving them access to all the virtual machines built on top of that hypervisor. Okay, reliability and data protection. So cloud services is expected to always be available and protected. It is impossible to find a reputable company that will ensure the safety of the data in case of lightning or other disasters while also protecting from attack. Right, so I think when I was going through it with Kelly, he was like, your data is like come standard to like 99.1% or 99.9 was it, Kelly?
For what?
For the like protection and reliability, they go up to 99.9.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, there's the 99% up, there's the 99.9% up, and 99.99, and the cost goes up exponentially for each one of those decimal points that you add. Because if you're like talking 99.99%, it's like your servers will be allowed to be down for 1 hour a year. 99.99, you're guaranteed to be up. And if any problem happens, the total time that your system can be down in a year would be 1 hour. If you're doing 99.9, I think it's like 3 days.
In a year.
So that extra decimal point costs you a whole lot more money for reliability.
And think about that, right? Think about being like, if you're running let's say you were running eBay, right? Think about your servers being down for 3 years, or the possibility of for 3 days in a year, as opposed to the possibility of 1 hour. How much money are you willing to pay at that point? And that's kind of where Kelly's going, where, it is reliable. The reliability is already really good, but to get that like almost infallible reliability, it gets exponentially more expensive. Is that a good way of putting it, Kelly?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. The cloud can be easily used for unscrupulous purposes. So to prevent
not the internet. Come on, you must be kidding.
What's that?
So not the internet. Come on, you must be kidding.
Oh, right. Yeah, not everyone's a goody two shoes. So to prevent malicious attacks from stealing data, make sure the provider is using the best encryption standards and the most secure communication channels as well, and using secure APIs that will keep your data protected, right? So this goes into doing your research, right? Like look into how often they do backups, what standards they're using to encrypt, how they're communicating that, how you're communicating to the cloud service as well. These are all things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to security on the cloud. And not just the cloud, but in IT in general. Do we have any questions about this here, guys? Okay, so we can now be able to compare and contrast different types of, wait, what? Kelly, who did this one? Compare and contrast.
I do not claim ownership of this one.
All right, so this is not the slide for this, but you should be able to compare and contrast the different types of cloud infrastructures, right? Then you should be able to tell me the compare and contrast the different type of cloud services and some of the common security issues that we have to keep in mind when using clouds.
But after yesterday, we should also be able to do all this too.
Yes. But in regards to our cloud technical session, these are the things that you guys should be able to do now. So I think we can pause the recording now.